You may feel comfortable in yourself, but how much do you actually know about your body? From the inner workings to the outer limits, we have some facts that give you the lowdown on the skin you live in. The first story in particular is a real trip. I'm Michael, this is 25, and these are 25 incredible facts about the human body. But before we begin, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe with that notification bell if you haven't already. It really helps the channel grow. Alright, let's go Miss Frizzle this. 25. Your body could be making its own hallucinogen. It hasn't been confirmed, but if this story is true, then it's incredible. Your body could be producing its own supply of DMT, which stands for dimethyltryptamine. DMT is potentially in people's blood, brain, and lungs. Not only is this stuff powerful, it's believed to be the most potent hallucinogen in the world. It grows in plants and is mixed into a mind-altering drink called ayahuasca, made in South America. How do we use DMT if it's in our bodies? Some researchers suspect it might influence dreams or near-death experiences, though facts haven't been proven yet. Research into this fascinating probability is still ongoing. 24. The human ecosystem. The word ecosystem suggests a natural environment like a jungle. However, did you ever stop to think of the human body this way? We certainly have enough bacteria on our skin and in places like the digestive tract to qualify ourselves as separate ecosystems. Icky as it may sound, we need trillions of microorganisms to digest food, fight disease, and maintain both physical and mental health. Incredibly, our gut health and the signals it sends have an impact on our mental wellness, with mood being one of the things that gets thrown out of whack. If we're an ecosystem, well, then we're definitely a chaotic one. 23. You have up to 6 pounds of bacteria in your body. If we measured all the bacteria in our bodies, it would weigh between 2 and 6 pounds. To give you an idea of what this means, 6 pounds can be compared to the approximate weight of a cat or a brick, so pretty substantial. Where is this bacteria located? Prepare to get indigestion because a lot of it is found in your guts. It isn't as shocking as it seems because there's a bunch of good bacteria in the digestive system, which obviously digests food, but also absorbs nutrients, plus it helps your immune system do its job effectively. Here's a cool bonus fact for those of you who take pills containing vitamins and minerals. It turns out your internal bacteria produces those too. Take B vitamins, for example, which are great for things like brain function and healthy nerves. Bacteria in your colon use fermentation to make the B vitamins in a similar way to how beer is brewed. Now, drinking too much beer is a surefire way to get indigestion. 22. The surprising name for leukemia cells. APL, or acute promyelocytic leukemia, affects 1 in every 250,000 people, making it a rare cancer. What causes this version of the disease? One big factor is a cell with an outdated and offensive name. People don't use it today for good reason. The cell used to be known as the faggot cell. It's an inflammatory word today, but it's worth explaining that it does have other meanings. It relates to a food product if you're in the UK, for example. It sounds weird, but yeah, that's a thing. It's more widely recognized as the name for a bundle of sticks, which is why the cells are called that in the first place. The cell in question has a stick-like appearance, which is actually a crystalline structure called an aura rod. However, it got the name faggot cell. The title is frowned upon as a scientific term in the 21st century, and we've quite rightly moved on from it. 21. B12 storage stat. Vitamin B12 is important for all kinds of reasons. It helps our nerves and blood cells, generates energy, and keeps us focused during a draining day. B12 even works with our bodies to create new DNA. So if you cut it out of your diet, you'd be in trouble, right? Well, the answer is you would and you wouldn't. You see, the human body has a remarkable ability to store up these vitamins using your liver as an organic container together with your muscles and tissues. This human storage system can make reserves of B12 last a long while, reportedly up to 5 years. The minimum it can do for this is 3, so still a reassuringly solid amount of time. Naturally, you should continue to work on your vitamin intake and not neglect that, but this nugget of information is nice to know. 20. Pokemon proteins. Here's one Pokemon you don't need to catch, because it's already inside you. Oh. Picochurin is the eye protein discovered in 2008, and the team in the city of Osaka were inspired by one of their cultural icons when thinking up a name. For those of you not familiar with the Pokemon universe, the character they chose was Pikachu. Like Pikachu, the Picochurin protein zips around. However, instead of getting mixed up in bizarre adventures, it's helping maintain connections between the retina and the brain. The story earned the scientists the Guinness World Record for first protein named after a video game character. I'm not actually really sure how much of an achievement that actually is, but they're probably very proud. 19. Your body contains radioactive potassium. Your body has its own radiation, a fact which can be worrying, but ultimately isn't anything to be concerned about. Having said that, I do have a little bit of bad news, which is that everyone's bodies are experiencing radioactive decay. One of the sources is called potassium-40, the isotope of the element potassium. Isotopes are essentially elements with a higher neutron count, neutrons being subatomic particles. The key thing to remember before we panic is the radiation content in your body is super low, with approximately 16.4 milligrams worth of potassium-40 in your biological makeup overall. The body also contains other radiation like carbon-14. This apparently has a half-life of nearly 6,000 years, which I guess means it'll be around long after you've passed away. 18. You have a secret second heart. You'll never guess where it is. Think far away from your chest, right down in your leg. That's right, your calf can pump blood up to your heart, making a big contribution to circulation in the human body. This powerful muscle is named soleus, after the Latin word for sandal, which the muscle resembles. The heart pumps blood throughout the body, but it needs to have that blood returned, so it relies on the soleus muscle. This squeezes the veins in your leg when moved, squirting the blood upward and back where it came from. The soleus relies on gravity, as do all parts of your body. The diaphragm is also a major player when it comes to blood circulation, and amazingly, there are muscles in your veins that help too. Yeah, veins may seem fragile, but they have to be durable enough to handle all that blood. 17. Do your eardrums cause hiccups? There's a potential link between what's in your ear and a severe case of the hiccups. Experts theorize that disturbing the eardrum might lead to internal aggravation, resulting in persistent hiccuping. It's all to do with a major part of your body called the vagus nerve, which runs right through your torso from your brain. This nerve keeps your brain, heart, and digestive system in check, and a separate nerve called the phrenic nerve controls muscles such as the diaphragm. Your ear canal is linked to your nervous system, meaning it can affect the diaphragm and trigger hiccups. So what irritates your eardrum enough to cause the hiccups in the first place? Earwax is one potential cause, but can you believe something as small as a hair can do it? 16. Mexican chompers. Many indigenous Mexicans don't grow any wisdom teeth. This is because of the way they developed, with a genetic mutation, meaning they didn't need the extra help chewing tough food. Wisdom teeth are a throwback to our ancient past, so many of us don't need them. However, they are present in our mouths for better or worse. Some sources state the vast majority of the population in Mexico lack these. That said, it's important to point out this affects indigenous Mexicans, not all of them. 15. Ear crystals. Did you know there are crystals in your ear that control your sense of balance? The otoconia, which is ancient Greek for ear stones or ear powder, are found on the inner ear organs called the utricle and saccule. These detect whether you're moving forward, up, or down, respectively. The otoconia crystals, made of calcium carbonate, aren't attached to the organs. They roll around in a jelly. By doing this, they interact with sensory cells as part of the balancing process. However, if the crystals fall out, this can cause vertigo. 14. Sleeping can change the shape of your face. Before you panic, I'm not saying that sleep is bad for your face, and there isn't any medical evidence to say so. Doctors check things like genetics and lifestyle before pillows and mattresses when it comes to asymmetry. Nevertheless, sleeping on your face could potentially alter your skin elasticity and other stuff that contributes to symmetrical features. There's no getting away from the fact that our faces can look pretty crumpled when we get up in the morning. Just be grateful the effect is temporary. Unless I guess you're Plastic Man. He can make it stay like that for a long time. 13. Supertasters. A so-called supertaster is someone with excess taste buds, and they're a great help in food production and to the industry in general. It's a talent for sure, but is it a good thing or a bad thing to have enhanced sense of taste? Ask a beer lover. They might not enjoy the taste due to the bitterness of the compounds which comes from boiling hops. The bitter taste becomes unbearable for these flavor experts, as do similar chemicals found in dark chocolate and black coffee. There are advantages to being a super taster, but that's not one of them. 12. In one end, out the other. You have receptors on your body that are thermosensitive. In other words, they're sensitive to heat. These TRPV1 receptors are part of specific cells, and you become aware of what they do when you eat anything like spicy peppers, which release the compound capsaicin. Your body is kind of fooled into feeling a burning sensation, when really you're coping with the spiciness of the meal. Now, I should say that you have TRPV1 receptors in your mouth and one other place. Have you guessed where it is? Think lower. Yep, your butt is lined with them. So when you burn around your tongue, you feel it around your anus too. If you feel little to no burning, then you've either got fewer receptors or you ate so much spice that they don't work anymore. 11. We all have stripes. It turns out we're stripy as a species, sharing this fact with tigers and zebras. But what do you mean we have stripes? I've never seen them. Well, there's a reason for that. It's because they're pretty much invisible. When our cells develop, they leave behind a subtle visual trace. So subtle, you will not notice them without special tools or conditions. Their official name is Blaschko's lines, named after Alfred Blaschko, a dermatologist from Germany. He noticed the lines while studying lesions in 1901. Aside from in-depth specific analysis, is it possible to see these things? If you're unlucky enough to have a skin disease, this can bring out the shapes of lines and stripes as your skin reacts to the infection. 10. Blood is a handy ingredient. What's a great replacement for eggs in a cake mix? Blood. There are records of people using animal blood when eggs weren't available. This isn't a horror story, it's an actual fact. As recently as 2014, a report from the Nordic Food Lab mentioned the use of pig blood for sweet-tasting treats. Plus, there are precedents from back in history where communities opened a vein instead of cracking an egg. The gory truth is that the red stuff contains a protein called albumin, which is also found in eggs. Both can add texture and structure, bind the mixture, and help with leavening when you want your cake to be light and fluffy. Outside of Dracula's birthday party, I can't see this recipe being that popular though. 9. Big laughs. It's no laughing matter that your funny bone does what it does. We've all had those times where we bashed the back of our elbow on something and felt that weird jolting sensation when the funny bone is disturbed. The proper name for this is the ulnar nerve, and it's not only totally unprotected by muscle and bone, it's also surprisingly big. Your funny bone is regarded as the largest exposed nerve, which is interesting because it doesn't have a precise measurement. It depends on the distance between your neck and your elbow. That's where the nerve travels. Either way, the funny bone is way bigger than any other unprotected nerves. And not all that funny when you whack it. 8. Nerve damage is good for wrinkles. We rely on our nerves to create wrinkles, which is a staggering enough fact as it is. So when something happens to the nerves in a part of the body like our hands, wrinkling becomes more difficult for our systems to manage. Research has been conducted revealing a lack of wrinkles in subjects with nerve damage who immerse their hands and feet in water. Without nerves to constrict blood vessels, such as the median nerve, your skin stays smooth even after absorbing water. Another fascinating fact is that some nerves affect sweating, meaning you might oversweat or not sweat much at all if you damage them. 7. Mosquitoes may love certain blood types. Mosquitoes don't seem picky when seeking out someone to suck on, with most of us being bitten by them, often in places you don't expect, but that's another story. However, what mosquitoes do seem to have is a preferred blood type. We're aware of this because of the way our bodies advertise what blood we have to any passing insect. Approximately 85% of us release chemicals through our skin that let pesky skeeters know whether we're A positive, A negative, and so on and so forth. Work your way through the alphabet to O, and that's the sweet spot for mosquitoes. at least according to a study carried out by the American Journal of Entomology in 2019. It is important to note that this idea is still in the research stages. Scientists have yet to definitively prove that flying bloodsuckers home in on a particular person because they just so happen to contain their favorite drink. I've got to be up there. I seem to get bit more than most people. I don't know my blood type yet. I know, I need to. I'm on it. 6. Your eyes make your eardrums bulge. In 2018, an incredible report was published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences stating our eyes have a strange connection to our eardrums. The team behind the report looked at something called EMREOs, which stands for Eye Movement Related Eardrum Oscillations, or repetitive movements. They worked out that your eyes and ears work together to match up what you're seeing and what you're hearing with a noticeable bulging effect in the eardrum. Your eyes need to move, and your internal muscles push the drums to the left, making them protrude very slightly. 5. Why you can taste blood when you work out. Doing fast, concentrated exercises creates a feeling like you have blood in your mouth. This isn't an illusion, though I should say there is no need to be concerned. You're experiencing a natural internal reaction to stress, and what you're tasting are your leaking capillaries, which normally act as channels so oxygen and nutrients can reach your cells. They're also quite fragile, so while they won't break, they will leak, releasing little drops of blood as you put them under stress with high-energy workouts. The taste comes from the iron and lactate molecules in the blood, so you aren't drinking your own blood or anything like that. 4. Mammalian diving reflex. Your body is designed to respond quickly and effectively to being underwater, and you can demonstrate this without jumping into a pool. The so-called mammalian diving reflex was discovered in the 30s by physiologists Lawrence Irving and Per Fredrik Scholander, who studied other mammals such as seals. You trigger this reflex by putting your face in cold water, the way you do every morning when washing. It's an ancient defense mechanism that slows down your heart and puts pressure on your outer blood vessels, so you have more in your brain and heart. You can live without fingers, but you can't survive without those major organs. The reflex ultimately helps you relax, avoid panic attacks, and store oxygen. Interestingly, the younger you are, the stronger the reflex. 3. Self-rumbling. By tensing a muscle in your ear, you can produce a rumbling sound that only you can hear. The rumble comes from the tensor tympani, which usually reduces loud internal noises. Let's say you're eating something super crunchy, in which case the muscle minimizes any crunching and the vibrations from chewing. When you tense this muscle voluntarily, you're putting a dampener on your hearing, so that's why the rumbling happens. You can also experience whooshing, though you may also hear nothing at all because only a small percentage of the population can move their tensor tympani. Sweet, I'm one of them. Yep, I can hear it. Oh, cool. I knew I could hear it. I didn't know it was that rare. Awesome. Let me know in the comments below. Can you do it? 2. It's possible to smell rain coming. How does that even work? Well, your nostrils might be able to smell ozone gas, which is produced when split oxygen molecules are reformed in the atmosphere. The ozone is triggered by electricity in the air, a sure meteorological sign that you're getting a downpour. This supercharged electricity expresses itself as thunder and lightning. So, if you smell metal or chlorine, chances are it's time to put up your umbrella. Another smell associated with rain is called petrichor. This comes from two ancient Greek words, petra meaning stone, and ichor, which basically means god blood. As the rain falls, it hits the soil, activating the compound geosmin from the bacteria down there. What does petrichor smell like? What do you think? It's pretty earthy because it's seeping out from the ground. It's obvious if you think about it. 1. You have nerves that only respond to gentle touching. Our nerves are ultra-sensitive, but did you know different nerve endings pick up on different sensations? Some don't feel anything without a certain kind of touch, and that's where our next incredible story comes in. There are nerve endings in your body that won't respond to anything other than a soft caress or a gentle stroke from someone's hand. These nerves are your C-tactile afferents, also known as CTs. The word afferent describes how nerve endings transmit outside stimulus to the brain, with CTs registering a touch speed of up to 10 centimeters a second. Yes, you have a kind of internal speedometer for touching. but it won't make you feel anything unless you're experiencing the softest possible contact with a person or object. And that's all for today's video. The human body is a vehicle, and it takes us on a wild ride. However, just because you're not in your body after you pass away, it doesn't mean other people don't have a use for it. In the mid-19th century, thousands of people died constructing a railway between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. What shocking thing did the Panama Railroad Company do with their bodies? Well, did they A, pickle them and sell them to medical schools, B, bury them under the tracks, C, leave them to rot, or D, turn them into animal feed? Let me know your answers in the comments. And to keep our bodies safe, we have to be careful around infection, which makes our next video a must-watch. 25 eye-opening facts about diseases, available to view right here. As I mentioned earlier, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you soon for another list. Peace.